Derek Dumas here. This is the first tutorial of how to make an outdoor environment in starting a game. Um, so I'm not going to add this into my game because nothing that I post I put online just because I'm not a business yet. I will talk to you a little bit about that on the business end of things, but that's for another tutorial. Um, so anything, well, let me just say this. If you're making a game, unless you've registered for a business, do not post anything on the internet. Somebody can look at it and say, hey, I like that, and they can take it, and they can use it, and because you didn't register it, if they register it first, it's theirs, and then you get a cease and desist. How does that work? Well, it's registered, and they beat you to the punch. Now, anyways, this is basically, I'm going to show you what I'm kind of doing. I'm going to show you the method that I use. And then you can go ahead and you can create whatever the heck you want. But I've had a couple, requests about, hey, how do I go ahead and how do I create a house? How do I create this? How do I create that with SketchUp? There's tons of tutorials out there how to do it. I'm going to show you my way of doing it. And actually, I like my way because it's my way. And I'm kind of an arrogant SOB when it comes to that. However, you might like it as well because it kind of makes room for adding in and editing. You can never edit it enough. Edit, 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 edit. A game is never completed. It's always being updated. You will never ever. You can ship a game, but it's never truly going to be finished. I mean, I'm sure you see texture, details, clipping errors, a whole bunch of stuff in, AAA games. And again, I mean, they might update it here and there, but they'll never fix everything. The only way that you can do it is if you really go underneath a microscope. But if you go ahead and do that, and you're just a 2, 3, 4, hell, a 10-man team, even a 1-man team, you'll never get your game completed. So what I do is I go first and I say, hey, do your rough draft and do it by the level. And have a storyline. If it's not a storyline, it's just a multiplayer game, whatever, okay. Do your rough draft, then go back, look at it, and release it. Do the best you can. So that's what we're going to be doing for our outdoor exterior. So we're going to hit R for rectangle. We're going to build a street. Now, I talked about in the introduction, that's right, introduction, about how this is a limitless space. Well, we're basically going to be setting it up, and we're going to be building a city block. And the great thing about SketchUp and Unity 3D is you don't have to be exact because you can always scale it later. When you see how it scales, you're pretty much in the clear because you can go ahead and you can swap textures if you want to. You want to be careful about texturing. We'll get into that later, but we're just going to build our model first. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with even numbers, and we're going to create a street, and we're going to make it 40 by 60. Now, I know that doesn't look large, but it is, trust me. So we're just going to see how this goes off in Unity, and we're going to make this 5 feet. Let's see what 15 looks like. Oop. T for tape. Alright, let's start this over. T for tape. You're going to go from the edge, and you're basically going to type in 1, 5 and enter. See this down here? 1, 5. Enter. Now, as you see here, it's not exactly what we want, so we're going to go with 10. That looks a little bit better. And 10. Press E for eraser. Let's get rid of these right here, these two middle ones. And there's our street. Yeah, looks good to me. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So, P for push and pull. And because it's just a street, we really don't need much. We're just going to click on it once and press 1 to bring it up by 1 meter. Again, if you're wondering why I'm saying 1 and 1 meters and whatever, you got to look at my other tutorials. I tell you about how going into the modeling info and everything, and basically getting out the dimensions, what you want it in. I do meters. Rest of the world runs on the metric system. Why the heck aren't we? So E for eraser, and this street does not look that long to me. So it's already 60. Let's bring it out by another 60. So click on that, drag it towards you, and type 60, enter. That's a little bit more. So we're going to click on the highlighted edge, and we're just going to double click again. Oop. And 60. And there we go. And now we're going to go half that size. So T for tape. Oh, 90 is the middle. Okay. So now that we know that that's 90, we're going to go ahead, we're going to highlight this, and we're going to make that a component. And we're going to call this Road 1. Now that we've made that component, we're just basically, you click on it, and the whole thing highlights. It's not the edges. Now you can just freely move this thing wherever you want to. So what we're going to do is we're just going to right click it, and if you hit explode, don't click explode. It's going to explode it and destroy your component. So click it, press Control and C, and then Control and V. And now we have another component. We're going to click this right here, which is our rotate bar. Don't worry about these in the corner. That's the way I set it up. This is your terrain tools. We'll get into that a little bit later. This is your advanced toolbar. Once again, if you didn't watch my other tutorials, go back and check it out. So, we're going to click on the rotate. We're going to go in the corner so that it's along the blue axis, so it's flat. And at least with that, we're going to go along the red axis. So it makes it very simple, and we're looking for the green axis at this point. See how it said on green axis? M for move. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to double click this, right? And now that we've double clicked it, we're going to press L for line. And we're just going to look for that center point. There we go. There's our midpoint. And we're going down along the red axis. And there's our midpoint. So M for move, midpoint. Oh, escape, sorry. We're going to click off it. Okay. Now that we've clicked off it, M for move from the midpoint, and we're just going to drag this to that midpoint. There we go, look at that. There's a couple different ways you can sketch this up. I mean, yeah, it's SketchUp, so you can do what you want. So we're just going to double click one of them, and we're going to press E for eraser. I'm going to erase that. There we go. And now we're going to press Shift and select both of them, and we're going to explode. So again, click one, see how it highlights it, press Shift, you'll see the little plus. Click the other one, right click, explode. Now we've destroyed our components. Now, here's what we got to do with this. We got to go ahead and we got to go and, basically for all intents and purposes, erase these middle lines, because these are our streets and this is where the building's going. So what we're going to do is, now that they're all highlighted, make sure that they're not all highlighted. So just press Control and A, and then what you're going to do, right click, and you're going to click on Intersect Faces with Model. And that's going to take all the faces and just make this all, they're all connected together, as if you just, connected that together. This is a pretty useful way to go ahead and do things. We'll get into the intersecting faces a little bit later, more detailed into it. But press E for eraser. We're going to delete those. And delete your guideline. Look at that. Now we have a nice cross street here. However, T for tape, and I think we said 10 meters. So 1, 0, enter. Same thing with this side. 1, 0, enter. Same with this side. 1, 0, enter. Okay, it's all coming together now. 1, 0, enter. Okay, so now what we're going to do here is we're going to L for line, and we're just going to go ahead and we're going to connect these and make our sidewalk. And everything is subject to change. We're making a city block all on our own, and you can make it however you want to. So now that we've done that, alright, excellent. E for eraser, let's erase these guidelines. Look at that. Beautiful. Now P for push and pull. If you did it correctly, whenever you click on these, they should be pretty good. Now there's a couple different ways we can do this. I'm sure you've been messing around with it from my earlier tutorials. It'll be faster if we go ahead and we want to basically make the sidewalk higher than the road itself. Okay, so let's go ahead and, well, first we're going to look underneath E for eraser. We got to erase these. Okay, definitely get underneath it too. Oh. If you just click on one of these, you're going to have to do all four of them, which really isn't that big of a deal. But because we're going to the ground and there's nothing below this that we're really sacrificing, we're just going to press P for push and pull. We're going to click on the road and we're just going to drop it by 0.5. 0.5, enter, half a meter. There we go. Now what we're going to do is, once again, T for tape, and we're going to bring this here, and we're going to bring the outside edges going onto the inside. And we're going to press A for arc. Tangent to edge. Oh. That's one. T for tape. Same thing with this. From the outside in. And press A for arc once again. Tangent to edge. Double click. Tangent to edge. Double click. Tangent to edge. Double click. P for push and pull. Or we're just going to click once. And we're just going to drag it on face. And now we just have to double click, double click, double click. Press E for eraser. And let's get rid of these. Good. We've made our curved street corners. And you might notice that there's a little bit of extra geometry there. You're going to want that when we go to smooth our edges and everything. Plus, if you go to erase it, look what happens. It deletes the face. And you don't want nothing missing there. Control Z. So, now what we're going to do is we're going to see what this looks like in Unity 3D. So, start up Unity 3D, and we're going to create a new project. Make sure it's 3D, asset packages. We want our characters, environment, effects. That's something separate that I downloaded. And that's something separate as well. That's one that I made. And we'll add particle systems, because we're going to add all these, and anything else cross-platform input. And don't do this unless you're actually looking to cross-platform things. Right now, if you're learning and you're just learning what to do, like how to make a game, stick with what you know. Cross-platforming, that gets into a little bit deeper things, and once you click on that, especially with Unity 5, you can't go back, man. You got to start everything over. Um, and just for ha-has, let's click cameras. Let's take cameras out of their characters. Yeah, let's click cameras. Done. And I'm going to call this teach. And free. If you watched my introduction to this, then you'll go ahead and you'll say, "Oh, okay, yeah, definitely, definitely understand why he's saying that." So, create project. It'll take a couple minutes to load this up. And now getting back into this. Okay, it's almost done loading. Now, we can go ahead and we can either make this a third person or a first person game. I'm going to stick straight with first person at the moment because that's the best thing to do when you're checking out your environment. Um, for the sole purpose that, hey, it doesn't get any more detailed than first person. Now, the reason why I did the environments is because, not because we're going to be making terrain, but whenever you're making a city or anything like that, if you look at these games that are coming out, especially the survival games where you're stuck in the woods, it's all Unity terrain. You can tell it from a mile away. Just by playing it for 5 seconds, it's like, oh, they used Unity. I don't care how good the game looks. I mean, the Unity terrain is very distinctive and what you can do with it. So I want to kind of get away from that. Editor cross. Well, they added in cross-platforming anyway, so don't delete that. Here's your image effects. We'll get into that a little bit later. But we're gonna go ahead, and I hope you're already used to, the Unity setup. If you're not, please again stop where you're at and go back to my earlier tutorials. We're gonna keep the directional light where it's at, but main camera we're gonna delete. And standard assets, we're gonna click on cameras, prefabs, and I'm sorry, cameras, standard assets, characters. There we go. First person, prefabs, and FPS controller. And that'll give you your rigid body, your audio source. But if you want, the head bob, that'll go ahead and that'll do that too. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump into our Autodesk FBX converter. And once again, what we're going to do, well, first file, save as, underneath my documents, tutorial, tutorial, file, export, 3D model. And I'm just going to throw this right underneath my desktop to make it quick, but you can put it wherever you like. Tutorial, you want it to be a .dae. If you have the full version still of SketchUp, it's going to say FBX. X-nay on that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. You'll realize why. This works so much better. So export. There we go. So now we have this 3D model right here. Oh crap. Well, file, save. That'll be in the next update. So we're going to be constantly jumping through these three windows. No. 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 Block. What the fuck? Okay. So we're going to be jumping through these three windows. And what we're going to do is we're going to see how big this is inside Unity. So we open that up. Tutorial.dae, embed media. You know what? We're going to remove selected. Yes. New folder, tutorial, so that it's all nice and neat. The reason why I'm doing this, I know I already mentioned before, wherever you convert this over to your FBX file, um, it's going to go in that folder automatically. So convert, it's been converted, and we are working with, what's the file size here? Oh man, wow, that's so much. Oh, 18 kilobytes. Not sure I can handle that. Wow. Alright, so underneath assets, we're going to right click, create, folder, M for my, M models. I try to keep things short, especially if I'm going to be adding scripts to them. Just makes it easier. It's not like my models for level 1. I mean, if you want a script to directly affect that, or two different scripts, then you're going to have to type, the file location. So, drag and drop. Did that. Yep, that looks about right. So now we got our street, but what we're going to have to do here is we're going to go down and we are going to generate colliders. We're going to swap the UVs and generate light maps. You can click on the advanced for the normal tangents and the hard angles. We'll deal with that later. That just has to do with lighting. So, alright. So now that we have that, we're going to drag that in here. Oh yeah, apply. Yeah, you always want to make sure you go down to the bottom and click apply. Alright. So now that that's been applied, let's click on it, and we're going to set it to the position of default of 0, 0, 0. There we go. Now, keep in mind you want to basically take notes as to what you're using and what you're not using, because when you're done with the game, I don't think I'm ever going to use rollerball. So I'm going to click on rollerball here. I'm just going to press delete. Gone. Don't need it. Because when you compile it, guess what? That's part of your end product. It's going to be in there, but I mean, if you want to make a code for a cheat where you become a rollerball, sure, leave it in there. But otherwise, don't bother. So let's click on prefabs, rigid body controller. We're going to bring that up. And same thing, 0, 0, 0. And that brings us to this right here. And play. Yeah, that's quite large. Good news is we can scale it down. And it's always better to scale down than it is to scale up. Otherwise things tend to get distorted a lot worse than what they are. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to click on this. We're going to press R. And we are going to scale it down by 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Click on it again. Position it to 0, 0, 0. We're going to click on our first person controller, press W, play again. Well, now that looks a little bit better. Okay, so here's our street. We're running across the street. Looks good. Alright, so now what we're going to do is let's add some sort of building here. Some sort of corner building, I'm guessing. What do we want to do? I mean, how do we want to do this? Well, how do you get ideas? Jump back into SketchUp, and so you don't delete anything or edit this, right click, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to make it a component again. Street. Create. There we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to press R. And we are going to bring it down until the two latch together. So you see what I did? I clicked on this, I went down to this endpoint at the very bottom, then I went to this endpoint at the very bottom, held it there for 2 seconds, and they just lock on. P for push and pull. There we go. Now, same thing with this. We're going to press M for move. We're going to move that out. And I'm going to highlight this whole thing. Right click, component. And we're going to call this building 1. Create. Now, we're going to click on this. M for move. The bottom portion is going to go with this bottom portion. And hey, look at that. Now we have two separate components that can only be edited when we double click them. We click it once, we can move it around, click it again. Okay, we can kind of see what we're getting into here. So we're going to double click this. We're going to press, now notice how it turns green. That's how you know it's selected. This right here probably doesn't need to go all the way to the bottom, but leave it there just, you know, for ha-has. What we're going to do here, B for bucket, and we're looking around. Okay, what can we do here? Blah, blah, blah. Translucent. I mean, why do we want to make this? What type of building do we want to make? So, whenever you're in doubt, basically all you got to do is go into, where is it? Oh, right click, add photo texture. So you right click on the face, add photo texture. Yeah. And that brings up Google Earth. Oh, look at this. Now we can actually look at real buildings and the sides of them. So what I'm going to do is Palmer, comma, MA for Palmer, Mass. Alright. And we got a lot of houses. Well, hey, look at that. Ain't that nifty? So, we're going to get it so it's almost even. Look at that. Beautiful. I mean, yeah, this is a little choppy, but, you know, we get the basic idea. We're going to want these all to be even. We'll even it out. We'll make it look all nice and pretty after. And we're not going to use any of these textures anyways. We just want some sort of guideline to view basically what's going on. Heck, we can make this brick if we want to. So we're going to click Select Region. Bring this down. What the heck? We're going to grab this piece. Fortunately. Alright, how the heck do we close this thing out? You know, they update these things and it's just wonderful. Oh, there we go. Alright, beautiful. Select region. Motherless piece of crap. Munson, Massachusetts. Watch what I'm doing because you're probably going to have fun with this too. See, they make it was so much better when it was Google and not Tremble. Fucking Tremble. Alright, retry this. Oh. There we go. But that's not what I wanted. Alright. Add photo texture. I'm going to try this again. Palmer, Massachusetts. There. My old stomping grounds. And we're trying to get this to look on as much as it can. Select region. Alright, to heck with it. Just click grab. Exit out of it because it's not allowing you to select the region. Right click, texture, position. And what we're going to do is we are trying, so it goes like this. We'll go from this corner, and you want to keep it nice and even. A little bit more, so that the two meet. Bingo. Alright, so now that we have that, click on your arrow, P for push and pull. Oh, P for push and pull. Back up. Here we go. Let's exit out of that. Alright, so this is going to be basically a building, 4-car garage, that type of deal. It's going to have a smokestack at some point, but we're not going to have that smokestack. We're just going to cut it right out of there. Double click on it. P for push and pull. We are going to bring it down to the top. And now we're going to press L for line. On edge. Ooh. Let's zoom in so we go right on the edge here. And we're going down on the blue axis so everything's nice and even. There we go. P for push and pull. And we can get that right out of there. Offset limited to 70 meters. There we go. What we're going to do is B for bucket. Press Alt. Get your little eyedropper. And we're just going to fill in these other things. There. Now, these theoretically are all the same. It's just that, you know, the camera angle. So I would say go with the lowest one. Yeah, go with the lowest one. So L for line. And we're going to zoom in so it's right along the face. And the same thing. Just go all the way down. Doesn't matter if this is completely off. It's just, you get the idea. There we go. There's one. Press escape. We're going to go back over. And we're going to go all the way over on the green axis. On edge. Now the problem is, it's not connecting. Do you know why? Because we have the model in the other way. So, move your model out of the way. L for line. Connect the other lines going down along the blue axis. Same with this. P for push and pull. Oh. Control Z once again. See, every now and then it's good to explode them, but you're going to have to double click it in order to get the line to go. Sorry guys, it's late. It's been a long day at work. Alright. There. P for push and pull. There we go. So now we can go ahead, we can move that back, we can move it forward, escape. So what we're going to do here, L for line, and we're going to press T for tape. And we're going to go over, and this is roughly 12.38, 12.1. You know what? I actually think that it was 12 meters. How much is it all the way? No. How much is this? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say probably about 12 meters each door. About that. So, T for tape. And we're going to go over, no, we'll do 12.5. And from there, we're going to measure the inside. 0.47, so we'll do 0.5. So it's half a meter. And guess what? Now we're right back at the end again. So 12.5, 0.5. 12.5, and 0.5. Ooh, well again, that's... I guess we'll have to make this garage a little bit bigger, or not. There we go. Um, yeah, well, hey, it is what it is. It all has to be even. So L for line, and just follow them down, connect them. Oh, really screwed up on that one. You know why? Once again, I didn't double click it. So L for line. Let's connect these all on edge. Wow, exhausted. And you know, it takes a little bit of work, but this is kind of fun in a way because you can think about it and it's like, hey, you know, I don't really want to. I know this is all even, but I don't know if I want it to go this way. So P for push and pull, and we can bring that in by, I don't know how long that looks. I don't know, probably, we'll do 0.5 meters. And then just double click, double click, double click. There we go. Okay. As for this tall drink of water right here, um, R for rectangle, I would say it's about here to here for the door. P for push and pull. And we'll do the same thing. Actually, you know what? Yeah, we can always edit it later. So we'll do 1 meter in. Give it some depth. Maybe we can cut out the walls a little bit or make it look a little nifty. So now that we have the starting of our garage, and it's like, okay, well, that's pretty cool. So what we're going to do here, E for eraser, we're going to erase this right here. We're going to click this, M for move, down at the bottom, because we want the bottom corner to once again connect with this bottom corner. And of course, you know, this down here at the bottom, that's going to be lacking, but we can fix that later just by raising it up a little bit. So now that we got that, alright, excellent. So let's see how this looks. File, we're going to save this. File, export 3D model. Underneath, tutorial. And that was our first one, but I mean, it's not, we're still just kind of editing it. All we did was make a block, we just edited it. It's not like, you know, anything's going to screw up, so we're going to export it underneath the same. Yes. Right here, we got to make sure once we go back into our FBX converter that we remove everything because it's still looking at that old file even though it, we saved it. It was still inside the FBX converter, so we got to add it again. So we just bring this down, tutorial.fbx, embed media, yes, and convert. Okay, it's been converted. Tutorial, there we go. And let's jump back into Unity. Drag this over to the side a little bit. And we're going to go back into MM. We are going to click tutorial. We're going to delete it. Delete. materials, delete, delete. There we go. Tutorials up here, delete. Yeah, I know that's kind of tough. I wish Unity would fix that, but you have to delete it. Okay, so same thing. And go down, apply. Now let's go ahead and let's see what this looks like. What the heck? Really? Right click, make group. File. Export 3D model. Oh, that's why. Tutorial.da. Export. Yes. Oy. Alright, so this is going to be the end of this part of the tutorial, but you get the basic idea. So start jumping through Google and fill up all 4 of those corners, but let's see what we got here. So let's pull this up, tutorial, tutorial.fbx.da into an FBX, convert, yes, same thing. We are going to go ahead and we're going to delete all this. Underneath my models, tutorial, tutorial.fbx, drag it in, and you know it's really not that repetitive after a little while. It just, you kind of get used to it, and it's fun too because it's like, oh wait, you know, I missed something, or I could do this, I could do that. Apply, and we're going to bring this in, and we're going to scale it to 0.5 by 0.5 by 0.5, and because we didn't change anything else, when we add 0, 0, 0, it's all ready to run. And that still looks a little tall. Those are some pretty darn big garages. The door even looks big. But again, we can bring that down. So next, after we eyeball that, we just have to scale it down by another one. So let's scale this by, let's see what 0.4 looks like. Or heck, 0.3 by 0.3 by by 0.3. And tutorial, we're going to go ahead, tutorial 1. Yeah, see what happens when you don't delete tutorial? It calls it tutorial 1. Which is fine, because when we load up another one, whatever. So, yeah, let's click play. That's a little more believable. Alright, so now we know that we want our scale method to be around 0.3. Yeah, I mean, they look like narrow streets anyways. So, now that you basically see how to go ahead and start editing off things, we're going to start really building into this. The second one we're really going to crack down. I got to go to bed. It's 1:30 in the morning. Thank you guys again for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my communities. They're linked at the bottom. And yeah, let's go ahead and we'll make this quite an interesting looking scene from start to finish for outdoors. And we're going to start talking about, well, what are we going to do next? Start playing around with this. Try adding on to other things. I mean, you don't have to use the one that I necessarily did. It's probably a good training tool. But try something else out for yourself on the other side. This will be your space that you can go ahead and work with here. And over here we'll put a park, and then down here, I mean, we can go ahead and we can just add something totally different. But right here is our cross intersection for basically training purposes of modeling a city. Alright guys, take care. Thank you again for watching.